Hey, this is Cheyne here with Renew, Refresh, Reset Your Life, where every day presents another opportunity to hit the reset button on your life. My guest today is Cheyne Scott, attorney Cheyne Scott. She is the spiritual litigator. And I'm gonna tell you a little bit about her, which takes a seat. I'm gonna just read a little bit from her bio. But when I first saw that spiritual litigator, all kind of things went through my head. And so we're going to talk about that a little bit. I'm going to ask you to come on and take a seat because I don't want to start talking about what I was thinking before she comes on the show, because I want to engage her in that part of the process as well. So Cheyne, you want to go ahead and call in? Let's get you in and get you a seat. There you go. All right.
Hello.
Hello, how are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm doing very well. Thank you for coming. Thank you for coming. We did that test lab the other day, and for some reason it hadn't gone away. And so I peeked over there a minute ago, and it looked like there were 3 people, waiting. So I hope they'll find their way over here, because usually you can delete a lab, and that's what I usually do with the test, or hide it, but I wasn't able to do that with our test the other day. So welcome to the lab. Renew, refresh, reset your life. Okay.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. So I'm gonna just read briefly from your bio here. So you're Michiganian, and I don't know if I told you, I'm from Detroit, born and raised.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Born and raised, west side of Detroit. And so I came here. I didn't move here until I was 28. So I was fully grown when I left Michigan. So I try to get back every now and then. So this is Cheyne Scott. She was born and raised in Ann Arbor, Michigan, and she is currently practicing as a litigator at a mid-sized firm in New Jersey. She says she ended up in New Jersey after graduating from law school in an abysmal Michigan economy. And so I'm guessing here that could be quite a stretch when we talk about the economy. How far back was that? When did you graduate?
I graduated in 2011. So
2011. Okay. So yeah, I was thinking at least somewhere like maybe 2008 or 2009, because I know that's when the economy first really took a nosedive. So it says anyone who knows her and knows her knew that when she got that, when she signed up with that law firm in New Jersey, she was really grateful and appreciative of having that work, and she's still very much engaged in the process. But with the long hours of a litigator, of an attorney, she began to feel a little bit burnt out. And so that's when she began to reevaluate some things in her life, because she knew, when you're working long hours like that, sun up to sundown, 5 days a week, 6 days, 7 days, you don't have time to really process your thoughts. And so you got to get your act together so that you can be able to function. Okay. And so that's how the spiritual litigator came about, when she realized that shifts in mindsets could turn around a traditionally stressful profession into an emotionally fulfilling career. Yeah. Okay, so let me tell you first what I was thinking when I first saw that, because I was watching somebody blab when I spotted you up there. I'm like, spiritual litigator, I gotta talk to her, right? Oh yeah, see what's going on, right? So when I saw spiritual litigator, immediately my mind really went to Joyce Meyer, like A Battle for Your Mind. Yeah. Yes. So is that kind of like, is that kind of what it was like for you? Hi, Kayana. Is it Kayana? Thank you for joining.
Hi, Kiana.
Okay. Very good. That's someone you know?
That is somebody I know.
All right. Very good. Thank you for joining us. Kiana, please feel free to share this. You can share over on your left the last 30 seconds at a time. So please feel free to do that with your followers. Someone just type this in here right here. Join us with the spiritual litigator. And so is that what it was like for you? Sort of like a battle for your mind? What was it like for you?
Yeah, it was, because you go through all the school. You've made up your mind you want to go into this profession, and then you start doing it. You like it, but then you feel guilty because you're so busy, you're so burned out, and you don't want to complain because you got a job. It's a blessing to have a job. So first of all, you kind of feel a little isolated because you don't want to complain to other people because people are saying, look, you're a lawyer. What is there to complain about?
Right.
You got a job. What is there to complain about? So you're kind of in a battle there. And on the other side, it's like, well, I have no control over how much I work. You feel like you can, create in your life up to a certain point, but you feel like you have a lack of control with your employer. And so you can't go up to your boss tomorrow and say, you know what, I'm not staying past 5 o'clock ever again. That's not going to work.
Right.
You can't say, you know what, I'm not coming in this weekend. I'm not coming in this weekend. That brief won't be done. We're going to be late. You tell the judge that I'm done.
Right. He said, we'll take care of that for you, right? Yeah. Right. And so because you had to face that, and I was thinking earlier today as I was reviewing some notes and stuff. So, number one, how do you tell the boss that, and do they really understand? I mean, you had this discussion? Did you have this discussion? Okay.
No, I'm saying that's not a discussion that you can really have.
So to some degree, did you have a discussion, okay, I need to reframe some stuff, or did you just do this on your own?
On my own, I had to kind of shift my mindset and figure out, okay, what exactly do you want? Because the first thing that you do is, when I learned about mindfulness and the law of attraction, it's like read the books and figure out what they say. And I got bogged down and I said, well, I need to figure out what I want. And I started looking and say, okay, what do the blogs say about when you're stressed out? Well, they said, leave your job. I didn't want to leave my job. Right. I just wanted to do, a little bit less than 12 hours a day. Right. So I began just taking a step back and doing more of a general, mindfulness techniques, vision boarding. I picked pictures of what I wanted to do. And I said, okay, the type of work that I am doing, can I shift it a little bit so that it's less demanding of my time? Can I shift it so that I'm working with supervisors who don't expect me to work until 10 o'clock at night? Can I shift it so that I'm maybe going into work early and then not staying as late? So maybe I'm doing the 10 hours, but I'm getting in really early and getting stuff done and being more effective. And what I saw is the more that I applied, defined my vision of what the perfect job would be for me where I was, and began being more grateful for what I already had, I started to see a shift. And it's not like it was a magic shift. It's not like I put pictures of sleeping or having more free time on a vision board and I just automatically did. It was just some of the assignments that were less exciting started getting reassigned. The partners that were there early in the morning and a little earlier in the afternoon, who have, maybe had a lot of kids and had to leave earlier, I started working with them more. Okay. So things shifted to where I have more of an ideal situation at work, to where it's like you're still doing the work, it's still challenging, but it's manageable. You're not drowning anymore.
Right. Okay. So you shifted with those the family oriented partners, because that meant, number one, you wouldn't have to be working those 12-hour days because they work. Okay. Right. But being new to the law firm, you still work longer hours than them. Is that correct? Okay.
Right. And that's just how it works.
I mean, yeah, exactly. So when you were talking about earlier not having that discussion, I understand you didn't say, I'm not working at 5 o'clock. It's not happening here, not today. Okay, so I understand that. But, as a new attorney, were you ever able to go to a supervisor and say, not in the sense that you're so overwhelmed you can't handle it because you don't want to project that, but did you ever have that conversation? Because I think people ought to be able to say this. Of course, I'm a new attorney. This is all great. I would love it here. Blah, 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 blah. How do new attorneys manage all this? What if I'm managing my time in a way that's, really productive? Can we have a conversation about that? Without seeming like you can't handle it. I mean, did you ever have that type of conversation?
There's a balance, right? So first of all, these partners don't have time to talk to me about my problems.
Okay.
And that's something that's clear in most firms with more than 40 lawyers.
Okay.
You know, the partners do not have time to talk to you about your personal problems.
Okay.
However, if you find a partner in that firm that you say, hey, I have a little bit too much work on me. So because a lot of times if there's a main partner that you work with, other partners will go to that person and say, hey, can I give Cheyne something? Do you have her working on something? Okay. So what I would do is go to the main partner that I trust the most and say, hey, if anybody says anything, I'm going to be really busy with X, Y, and Z this week.
Okay.
So instead of saying help, because then, and as a woman, as a minority in a law firm, you've got to be mindful of, you want to be careful how you communicate that you're busy, because you always want people to think of you first when they come up with assignments. You don't want people to think, you can't handle it. Yeah, exactly. So you want to have that balance where you say, hey, I am working on these specific projects this week. I just want to let you know. And without me even saying, I'm overwhelmed, I'm I'm not sleeping, instead of saying that, I'm saying this is what I'm working on. So it's like, I'm already being effective, so make sure other people know that maybe this might not be the right week to give me more.
Okay. So, and even though you didn't have that conversation, because I imagine that between that time where you're feeling a little bit stressed out and burnout and the time that you start making this transition to make your life easier, do you think that other people notice number one, the burnout, okay, without you saying it, and then notice the shift?
Yes. So when I started getting really busy, and I think the most difficult thing about being a litigator is when you start fighting with your the other side's attorney about documents, it can get very, very ugly, because then you're producing thousands of pages and you are just up late. They have to get done. The judge says they have to come in a certain date. So what happened is partners started noticing, she's billing a 10-hour block of time on the bills. They look at the bills. She was here this weekend. Why was she here this weekend? Because my firm thankfully doesn't necessarily expect you to be there on the weekends unless you have something to do. Okay. So it was like, hey, Cheyne, I noticed on the bills that you were doing X, Y, and Z. What's going on here? And so they, in the back of their minds, they're thinking Cheyne's working very hard. So, and that's another good thing. So since I had not complained, and since I had just kind of knowing how a law firm, the mechanics of a law firm work, I knew that they would see it. And it actually elevates me in their eyes for not complaining. Right. And it also keeps them mindful. Okay, in the future, we want to make sure Cheyne's okay. So now the managing partner, he will stop by my office and say, how are you doing? You've got to tell us if you're doing too much. You need to tell us this. Okay. And that's something that has happened, that happens frequently now. Okay. Because they've seen how it worked in the past. Okay.
And so that opened the door for that.
Yes.
Okay. But it wasn't until that door was open, that window, for them to check in on you rather than you having to go to them.
Absolutely.
Okay. And so working on the weekends, I mean, you're talking about physically going into an office on the weekends? Yes. Is that because it gave you that space you need? Some people go into an office, like I go into an office really early because nobody's there but me. Plus I'm an introvert, so I knew I'm not any good anyway. So the earlier I get on the job, the better I perform. So is that the case? Why Saturdays really work for you, or what? What was your mindset on doing that?
At first, Saturdays did work for me because nobody's in the office, just like you said. And also, when you have to print out several thousands of pages of documents, you're not sharing a printer with, 6 other assistants. But as a result of the, mindfulness, I don't work the Saturdays anymore. It's almost like I looked up and it said, I'm more effective in a work day. And a work day is still, 8 to 10 hours. That's the reality. But the more mindful I am, the more quick that day goes by. I'll look up and I say, how is it 7 o'clock right now? Right. And that's a better feeling than, man, it feels like it's 3 hours later, but it's still only 10:20.
Exactly. And I got how much longer to go? Look, you got like another 3 or 4 hours to go. Yeah, I know that kind of misery, because that can be draining. It makes you really makes you want to stop right then and there, because you've already put in the work and you figure you have 3 or 4 more hours to go. It's like you're already spent. But so the partners noticed the change in you. And I'm assuming you're not a partner. You're not
no, we're not there yet in our life. Yeah,
so you're not there yet. Okay, but someday, it might be on the horizon or whatever you have planned for yourself. So how about your peers, those who are not partners? Okay, did they notice this transition? And did anybody say anything? Okay, because they might not be able to go to the partners, but they can say, "Girl, you're different. What's going on with you?"
That is the interesting thing, because the associates that I worked with, and I work in such a great law firm that everybody gets along very well, and there's not a lot of competition. So everybody has their own niche in the firm. And so people start to notice, like, Cheyne, why are you still here? They're walking out and the office is all dark, and they walk past my lit up office and they're like, "Why are you still here?" And I said, "Well, I'm working on such and such, and I'm not complaining. But I look tired. I look tired. I look stressed out." And so some of those associates, senior associates, I know that they went to partners and said stuff and said, "Why is Cheyne here until 10 o'clock? And Cheyne came in on Saturday. Like, that's not supposed to happen." So I had good people in my corner speaking on my behalf. And again, it took from that fear of looking like you can't handle it, because it was like, Cheyne's handling it, but Cheyne shouldn't have to handle all this.
Right. And so, were you the only one doing that?
There are other. I won't pretend that I'm the only one working late. No, I think that it was just over that period of time that I had just started. So they were like, "Cheyne's only been working here for 3 months, but she's taking on so much. Let's make sure she's okay." Because there are several other associates that would be there late. But I think people were just concerned that, she's brand new. What is on her plate?
Right. But would you say that that's typical of a new associate to take on that kind of thing? And well, certainly with you, because you didn't want to give off that impression that you can't handle it. So certainly there were others just like you, not wanting to give off that impression. And so how do they handle it? They just bulk it up and they just continue to be overwhelmed and overstressed and not take a really good long look at themselves and how they can make some changes in the way that you did. They just deal with it.
They just deal with it. I was just talking to a fellow associate the other day because she saw I printed out something about vision boarding, and she said, "What's that?" And I said, "Oh, it's a thing. I'm making a vision board this weekend. This is just my outline." She was like, "What is a vision board?" And I was shocked, because when you start doing these things, you assume everybody else knows about them. And so I thought, like, she could improve her situation so much more and be more focused on the outcome that she wants in her job if she did it. But I never want to be that person that's pushing that on someone else ever. So I just mentioned it. I said, Google it. If you're interested, come back to me. But I don't ever want to push it on somebody. But yeah, there are several attorneys out there. I am not the only one. When they're new associates, you are expected to work. You're expected to put in the hours. I think that for me, due to my mindfulness, I was attracted to a law firm that is more nurturing and is more, it's more concerned that they want us to have a life outside of it. Now, there are people who work in firms in mega firms in New York. They are expected to be there all hours of the night. And that's not the type of law firm I was attracted to.
Okay. So this is not like The Good Wife, one of my favorite shows.
I love that show.
And they're going off the air. This is the last season, I think. I don't know why, but they are. I love The Good Wife. But so did she come back to you about the vision board?
She is not, but she just saw it the other day. So.
Okay. All right, very good. So tell me how this I know that was an evaluation of, of your faculties, so to speak. But how does the spiritual side in it, come into play? I mean, how deep did you have to go?
I just started as I said before, I couldn't find anything that was a resource for people in busy professions who just want to improve. They don't want to leave. They just want to improve. And so I just decided, let me just go to the drawing board and take really simple spiritual techniques. So I started with vision boards. I started a gratitude journal. I started affirmations, and I started a technique called scripting, where you write out exactly what you want to happen. You write it out like it's a scene in a movie. And when I started using those techniques, I started seeing little shifts, little by little. So one of the cases that I had when I first started at the firm that had me there nights and weekends, we were in a really contentious battle. So it was like documents. Well, all of a sudden, she went on trial. The plaintiff's attorney went on trial. So she was MIA for 2 months. So we still had to give documents out, but it wasn't this bombardment of we got to turn this in by tomorrow. We got to turn this in by Monday, and it's Friday at 5 o'clock. We didn't have that urgency anymore. And I started to think, you know what, there's something to this that, by shifting my mindset, things are kind of working themselves out for me. And like I said before, assignments that weren't as exciting started to kind of shift away. A new associate would start. Shane, do you mind giving her that assignment? She needs some work to get started. Right. Oh, sure. I'd be happy to. Yeah. And so it's the practice of law is stressful. There's no way around it. But I found that I could create the type of law practice that I wanted little by little, by believing that I could enjoy it again.
Okay. What type of law?
So it's miscellaneous litigation, which is exactly what it sounds like. So I do some criminal, I do some labor and employment, some housing, just commercial litigation, all over the place. Whatever they give me, I work on it.
All right, very good. So I heard you mention, a gratitude journal, and I journal some too, not as frequently as I like. I was recently co-authored a book, I Am Woman, and one of the co-authors, Ovoke Imonina, she has been journaling like every day for like 30 years. That's a lot. She's got like a library full of books in that journal. That need to be written out, and I'm sure they will. But one of the things you said also was scripting. And one of the things that I say all the time is that people can write their own script. Okay, your life is the only thing that really you can know the end before it even happens, because you can write your own script. Okay, there are some little changes that will take place, along the way, but you can basically see where you want to go. And so that's basically what you did.
Yes. I wrote out everything that I wanted to happen in my career, every type of work I wanted to do. For example, I wanted to be out of the office more. I wanted to do more stuff in court, things where I'm interacting with people outside. And one of the senior associates, she got married and her husband got a job in another area. And she had an assignment where she was in court once a week. And she told the managing partner, I want Shane to take over for me. Okay. I had no idea. So I got a call to go see the managing partner, which is always, and I came in and he said, such and such says you should take over for the court assignment once a week. And I said, okay. So that's one thing that popped up. I want to do more depositions outside of the office. Every once in a while, things will happen. Shane, I need you to cover this deposition for me. Here's the file. Go. And I'm gone.
Right. Yeah, because you have to, position yourself for that kind of thing. You know what I'm saying? So it sounds like that's exactly what you've done. But so do you help people do what you've done with your life? Making it far less stressful. And how do you do that? I mean, do people come to you? Do you identify them yourself? You're like, I can tell she's stressed out. I can see it all over your face. So who do you have a clientele that you help do this? Let me ask you that first.
That's a good question. I just started the business. So I've been blogging for a year, and then I started the business recently. So the goal is to work with busy professionals to help them do exactly what I've done. And do you mind if I drop the link in?
Yeah, go ahead. Absolutely, please.
So .ly/ So this is the blog, right? So if you just want to read through the stuff there, that's where the blog is. And I'm actually I'm in the process of creating a course where people can learn about the vision boarding, the gratitude journaling, the affirmations, and the scripting from my perspective, from a busy professional standpoint. And hold on, I can drop the link in for the freebie.
Okay.
So
the course, is that going to be basically a course? Is it going to be a live course? Is it going to be a webinar? Is it going to be something people can just download, or what? How is it going to be presented?
It's a 4-week course. Each week is a different spiritual technique. There's going to be videos that explain what it is, how it can help you, the positives of it, and what you can do to make it work for you. And that's going to be, it's called the Spiritual Routine Startup. And it's a way to just get you started on the path. And it's simple. It's simple. You don't have to take a lot of time out of your day to learn it. And actually here, if anyone's interested, this is a link to the freebie that has cheat sheets, really quick cheat sheets on the vision boarding, the gratitude journaling, the affirmations, and the scripting. So people who have never heard of this before can look at it and say, okay, this is something that I'm interested in or something that I'm not interested in. And then they can get information about the course that I'm launching it next week.
Are you really? Very good. Yes. Very good. So is this catered toward individuals, and do you see yourself doing this corporately?
That is a good question. It's geared towards it is geared toward individuals right now, but I do see value in it for a corporate setting. I do see the value there. It's something that could really help with people in a law firm culture who kind of feel trapped, trapped and have don't feel like they can go anywhere.
Yeah. So is the legal field your target audience?
My ideal would be lawyers, but my target audience is busy professionals, because I know that people will use human resources as an example, because my dad was human resources. That is stressful. I know teaching can be very stressful. That's my mom's profession. There are all types of professions where you kind of feel like things are happening to you instead of you creating what's happening to you. And so I think that this is, I'm coming from a lawyer's perspective, but this is for everybody who feels overwhelmed and feels like they have a lack of control in their career.
Okay. Well, the reason I ask about doing it corporately, because I was, yesterday, I'm a part of this I Am Woman network, and we were on a friend of mine's radio show yesterday. And so one of the girls that's part of the network, she had just came back from an EPIC conference. I don't know if you're familiar with April Franks or Jay Stone. I think she had been to one of Jay Stone's conferences, and one thing she was saying about there's a number of very successful coaches there, but what they're finding is, although they have quite a bit of clientele, it takes that tremendous amount of nurturing to do that, and so they're finding that they're making a shift into corporate America and doing coaching that way more so than individual coaching. So that's why I brought that up. And personally, that's probably an area that I would want to focus more on too, particularly because I deal with comfort zones. Okay, and so out of the box, that's a hard nut to crack, because nobody wants to come out and talk to me, right? So it's comfort zones and also introverts. And so I picked quite a field to specialize in, because, simply by the very nature of the subject matter. But I think also, like you, that's probably really needed in the corporate world, because with regard to what I do, complacency in the workplace can be disastrous. When you have unhappy people on the job, when you have unhappy and stressed out people on the job, naturally production is going to be reduced. Now you can do like your associates do and work, 12, 13 hours and just buck it up. But a lot of people who are not in the legal field, I would imagine, come to think of it, legal field, it would seem like it's a little bit tougher to do, considering what you happen to work with. But an average person on the job, it's hard to function when you're not happy.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes.
And when you're not happy and morale gets low, then productivity gets even lower. So that's very good. I can see that happen. Let's see who joined us here. Ryan Fishman, thank you for joining us. My name is Sharita Cadenhead. I am the founder of Renew, Refresh, Reset Your Life, and I am talking with today Cheyne Scott. She is an attorney, and she has deemed herself a spiritual litigator. And she helps people to reevaluate their lives so they are not so stressful, particularly in the workplace, so that they don't suffer from burnout. Right now, I want to invite you to ask questions if you have any. If you would like to take a seat and join our conversation, you are more than welcome to do that. We would love for you to engage in this process. So where do you see, besides now that I've brought up corporate, okay, where did you already see yourself going with the spiritual litigator and the people you serve? I mean, how far in advance had you thought this out as far as the direction you'd like to see it going?
I thought it out about 2 years in advance, because that's usually the sweet spot for a new business to determine whether it's gonna rise or shine. So the way I look at it is, I would love to work with people who are not sure whether they want to stay or go. I think that's a big 9 to 5-er question, because there's so much information out there that says just go. And for some people, that's the right path. But really important is, if you leave your current job or make any big employment shifts and you haven't fixed your current energy, you're going to recreate the same negative energy somewhere else. So if you deal with disrespect in your current job, you have bosses or coworkers that are disrespecting you, you've got to, I hate to say fix, because none of us are broken, but you've got to work on that energy. Address the energy before you go somewhere else. Because if you create your own business and you never address that disrespect, you're going to be disrespected in your own business. So
that's right. That's been a topic of discussion here lately in a number of environments that I've been with. Particularly Melva Tate, she's one of the women in the I Am Woman network as well, and she was saying the very thing about people who think things are going to be better should they leave their job and go somewhere else, whether it's to another job or another business. But these issues have a tendency to follow you. Okay, it's simply because you haven't dealt with that, and in many cases, you can't. I don't care where you go, the problem's going to follow you, particularly if the problem is you. Okay,
yes.
So,
yes.
You can change jobs and fields and start a number of businesses all you want, but if you haven't recognized that you might be part of the issues. And so, but I think there maybe we're talking about relationships issues, and that's not necessarily the core of what you do. It could be. It could be.
I think it all kind of connects, right? And I'll give you an example. A good friend of mine, he works in radio, and he would have this pattern where he would go work for a company, he would do really well, and then people would start sabotaging him. People would start giving him menial tasks. He wouldn't be doing the stuff he was doing before. And so he had that job to job. And so his last job terminated him, and they just said it's not working out. And I told him, let's sit down, let's write down what you want. What exactly do you want? And so he recognized that he wanted supervisors and coworkers that were fulfilled within themselves and were not insecure, because that's really what the problem was. He was attracting insecure people at these jobs. And so when he worked that out, his next job, it's like night and day. The people are like, great job. And at first he was like, are you sure? Like, is this okay that I'm doing a great job? But then he started noticing, okay, like he's really thriving there now. And it was just it was a small tweak. And that's why I tell people, if you're going to go from one to another, you have to address, okay, what's the negativity that's coming from this job? What can I change within myself? What can I tweak to the next situation, attract a better outcome?
Well, that's very interesting because I think I read that on your blog when you're talking about your friend, and as I was reading, I was thinking, because it seemed like number one, he had begun to question himself, okay, and it seemed like, I mean, apparently he was doing a good job. He was doing the job that he had been hired to do, and so when you start thinking, because it seemed to follow at that point, it seemed to be like, I don't want to do too good of a job.
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't want these people to, have this sort of envy or thinking I'm stepping on somebody's toes, or,
Mm-hmm.
and when you get to a point like that, because I worked with a girl once many years ago. She made a single mistake. Okay, she made a single mistake, and she said, Sharita, from that point on, she said, Sharita, I can see myself doing wrong, and I just can't stop myself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it plants that seed in your head that you question almost every move that you make. And so you, with a motive like, I don't want to do my job too well, that's just crazy.
Yeah.
So he made those adjustments. And what exactly were they? What exactly were those adjustments that he made, that your friend made?
I think that there was a fear of success. I think there was a fear of being too good and being envied by his peers.
Mm-hmm.
I think that there was something there about, if I do too well, and just like you said, I'm stepping on toes. I'm being arrogant. I'm being, and there was, it had to kind of fix that. It's okay to be successful.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And it's okay to be praised for being
Mm-hmm.
successful. And I think after we kind of went through that, I think after he identified, wait, I'm not afraid of failing. I'm afraid of succeeding. I think after he realized that, he really things just started just going really well with him. And I see a change. And, I think that a lot of people are creating the same situations everywhere they go, but they don't know what that pattern is. They don't know, they haven't identified what that is that's making, keeps creating the same situations. And sometimes you need to talk to somebody about it. Because I realized I worked with a coach for a year, and she told me, Cheyne, you're trying to pay dues and you're not stopping. Every time that you feel like you're going to level up in your job, something catastrophic happens and you have to pay those dues before you can do something better.
Right.
And so I had to take a step back and say, wow, is this why these crazy, it's always like this motion comes out and it's an emergent motion. You have to respond to it in 2 days, or this court order came in right before Christmas and you're going home to Michigan, but you have to get all these documents in 2 days after you get back. So you can't even enjoy your holiday, and then once I identified it, it's like, it doesn't stop immediately. Nothing stops overnight, but it was like those assignments, those crazy motions just started dissipating. I didn't see them as much. And I didn't subconsciously need them to be a success.
Right. Simply by that shift in mindset.
Yes.
Yeah. And it's funny because I've had that happen to me. I can remember back like 20 years ago, I did something. It wasn't anything terrible. But when I thought about it, and when I thought about, instead of going, because I had gone home to my parents for something, needed some help. And when I got back here to Alabama, I was like, you know what, I just needed to call on God because he really hadn't let me down yet. Okay. I didn't even make that trip. Okay. I'm I'm really no better. I'm in the same situation. They did help me, but I alleviated the worry. And all of a sudden, I felt 200% more relieved by saying, you know what? God has carried me all of this time. Look, I went home, upset my parents. Got them all worried about me down here. But it was a simple shift in mindset. So I understand that. I just finished writing a book, a short book or a journal. It's called Crushing Comfort Zones, Doubts, and Insecurities. One quote, one insight, and one affirmation at the time, because I can totally relate to you're saying. It's my hope that when we go people go through that book and journal what their thoughts are, because it's all designed for you to start thinking in an entirely different way. Because if you're going to make any kind of shift, you got to change your mind.
Right.
Yeah, you have to change your mind. It's just I think it's just impossible. And that's what Renew, Refresh, Reset Your Life is all about. Because people wake up. I think people, particularly people as far as the workforce is concerned, and I just imagine, even with myself, is this where I thought I was going to be 20 or 30 years ago? I mean, really, is this where I thought I was going to be? And if it's not, you have the people say, if it's not, what do I need to do about it? And then you have some people say, well, I'm 20, 30 years in, what am I going to do about it now? Or it's too late, or I'm too old, or something like that. And of course, you never are too old. So what are your feelings about that? Because do you know people that have just said, well, I'm here now and I may as well, that's something hard for me to see and accept for anybody.
Well, if you think about it, once you're already in and you have a family and you have benefits and you have all these things that are solid, it's very difficult to make a change. Sure. I'm still, I'm not married and I don't have kids. So I have the ability to kind of create new things. And I know how, for people who are married and have kids, that's probably very difficult. But at the same time, I do know people who are married and who have kids who have made big life shifts. So I do know it is possible.
Yeah.
I do know it's possible. But
well, go ahead.
No, but I think that's where it comes into having a supportive partner. And if you do want to make shifts, you got to make sure that your partner will be there when you make the shift.
Okay. Exactly. I still hold full-time job. And my grandson, yesterday we were going to the park. He's like, Grandma, you do so much cool stuff. You do so much cool stuff. But even though I work this full-time job, what I do outside of my job brings me the greatest amount of fulfillment. And so for people that say, and I'm not putting anybody down, because everybody has their own thing. I'm single, no dependents. My grandkids come over when I say come over, they go home when I say, okay, I've had enough. Change your mind, come get you. Go get them now. So that's kind of life I live. Thank you for joining us, Mr. Jim Dew. Thank you for joining us. My name is Shrita Cadenhead. I'm the founder of Renew, Refresh, Reset Your Life. And I'm here talking with Cheyne Scott. She is a litigator, and she has deemed herself the spiritual litigator. And so we're talking about shifts that people need to make in their lives because they are so stressed out. And this is what, in addition to being an attorney, this is what she helps people to do with their lives. But so, and I'm not that, I'm taking an early retirement in a few years. So everything that I do now is preparing me so that I don't lose, or so I develop or be able to maintain the lifestyle that I want. But because of this particular job, I have to find my greatest enjoyment. I have to do other things to bring me the kind of fulfillment that I like in my life, simply because I'm only 3 or 4 years away from retirement. Okay. And so they're going to give me some money, in 3 years. I don't care if it's not that much. I just don't want to leave it on the table. I've been in this long. It just makes sense, besides health insurance and all that. And I'm retiring before the traditional age of 65, or whatever the age is now. It doesn't really matter, because I don't plan to wait till the end. Okay. It's irrelevant to me. Okay. But so I have to find these extra things like blogging. I love blogging. I did a book collaboration with someone else. Now I'm working on a collaboration that I'm spearheading myself. It's a book called One Word, whereby there are 20 authors, and each author will have a chapter. Chapter title will be one word. That one word that has a tremendous amount of significance or impact in their lives over the years. So I think everybody can reach out and dig that. So I think at some point people need a reset of some sort. I don't know, my head. I reset every morning. trying to get ready for the day. So if anybody has any questions for Cheyne, you're certainly welcome to ask. We welcome you to ask questions if you'd like to take a seat and join the conversation about your current situation, any life resets that you had. And when she talks about spiritual litigation, it's really an evaluation of oneself to see where they need to make changes at based on their own needs, based on what you need to have a fulfilling life. Is that correct?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because it's all about having a fulfilling life for yourself. Because people are so ideally well-rounded, and life is about more than just work.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's more about coming home, and it's more about, you know, for people who are married, it's about family. But being well-rounded means having a social circle that's even bigger than that.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's all a contributing factor. So we've got a few minutes to go, and so anything you'd like to share with people who are listening about what you do. First of all, you put your links over here to your website. Is that the best way to contact you, through your website?
Yes, currently the website is still under construction, but I'm still adding new things, but that's the best way to contact me. There's a contact form in there. I think you used it to contact me for this. And so I respond quickly, and you can always find me there. I think the only other thing I wanted to mention, and I think this does come down to letting go of control to feel better at work. Those of us who have client-based businesses, remember that your client might not be a match to the outcome you want them to have.
Oh, yeah.
I think we all take it personally when either the client's not cooperating or the client doesn't get the outcome that you want because of whatever. The facts are the facts,
That's right.
you know, in their life. So I think one of the greatest things that I learned was to enjoy the journey. What is the part of working with the client that I enjoy the most? Focus on that. And whatever the outcome is, at least I know I did the best job that I could do.
Yeah, yeah. That's so true, because, you know, a lot of times, particularly in coaching, and this is stuff we learn in coaches training, that number one, don't make the agenda your own. Okay. And as soon as you realize that, okay, you need to make that shift back to that client, because that's who it's about. But, you know, clients and coaches, or, you know, whatever your situation is, or whoever you work with, you know, they're not always a good match. I was talking with someone yesterday. We were at the radio station. She said she was the radio station before we got on. They were talking about domestic violence. Okay. And so a caller had called in, and the tables were turned on this situation. The one that was being abused was the male.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. And so, yeah. And so she said she had, you know, dealt with a couple like that before. After about 3 sessions, you know, she realized that, you know, they weren't a good match, because she was what saying, like, man, I mean, really? I mean, like, really, man? You know, not that he should do anything to her.
Right.
But, you know, hey, man, look, you know, this is not a good situation for you. Okay. If you can't get under control, if y'all can't work it out, perhaps you need to make it, you know, make your escape, or separate yourself from your wife, or whatever. But that was a situation that she had to separate herself from, because she couldn't really deal with a man who, you know, was allowing himself to be abused. But, you know, I think in certain, not to get off topic, but in a situation like that, it probably works both ways, whether it's a male or female, you know, whatever. And to be quite honest with you, you know, I was in an abusive relationship, you know, when I was married to my daughter's dad more than 30 years ago. So I can certainly relate to that story. You know, I don't mind saying it, because so many of us share stories that we suppressed and didn't talk about for years and years and years. And the more we talk about it, the more we help somebody else get through that situation. So I don't mind saying that. But back to the point of, sometimes you and your clients are not a good match.
Right.
And you have to let them go. So I appreciate you saying that. Across social media, can you be found across social media with the same name?
Same name.
Is it Cheyne Scott, or is it Spiritual Litigator on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, all across?
It's going to be Cheyne_Scott. I wanted to have full Cheyne Scott, but apparently there's one other. So I'll put that in the.
Really?
I know.
Go ahead. You got it?
Cheyne_Scott. So there we go. And that is Twitter, Blab, Periscope. it will be added to LinkedIn, and there will be a Facebook page, because we're going one step at a time here, because it as an online business owner, you can get weighed down with all the social media places you can go to. I mean, I just joined Snapchat, and that's another thing I have to take care of. So I feel like so we're going one step at a time.
Yeah, I didn't do Snapchat. You know, I think between Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter, you know, it's a lot for me to handle. I might want to delve into it sooner or later, but you know, managing schedules is a really big deal. I use that vCita, and that seems to work for me. Take me away from calling people. You know, can we do this date? Following up by phone. You know, it sends you reminders. I hope it didn't send you too many.
No,
you know, but if you have to pick up the phone and do that, you know, a simple 1-minute phone call can turn into a 10-minute conversation that you really don't have.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So I certainly appreciate tools like that. Well, I certainly appreciated having you today, and thank you so much for agreeing to come. Any final words that you want to share with our viewers today?
No, I really appreciate you having me on, and anybody who wants to learn more about me, the links are in the chat.
All right, very good. Well, thank you, Cheyne Scott. Thank you for those that have joined us today. I hope you enjoyed the show. Hope you learned something. You can reach Scott via these links on the side. My name is Shruti Cadenhead. I'm the founder of Renew, Refresh, Reset Your Life, where every day presents another opportunity to reset button on your life. That's not something that I just say. That's something that I honestly believe. Every day that you wake up, you have an opportunity to change the things in your life that you're not happy with. And I hope everybody's living that life that they'd like to live, or at least be in pursuit of it. So we're going to check out. Have a great day. Thanks again for joining me.
Thank you.
Cheyne.
Bye.
Yes,
yes,
right.
Les. Bye-bye.